are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano,
host of Locked On Rays, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making the Locked On Rays podcast your first listen every day. And remember, Locked On Rays is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube at Locked On Rays. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Rays, and you can email us anytime, lockedonrays@gmail.com. Okay, Ulysses, we are going to switch things up today a little bit. We did a couple player reviews this week, so we have fulfilled that obligation. So we figured we'd change gears a little bit and do a mailbag episode. And we have some great mailbag questions to dive into regarding the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yes, we do. I'm excited for this.
Yes.
I love mailbag episodes. We've gotten really good feedback from listeners saying they enjoy it. So anytime you have a question, a concern, a comment, please make sure to send that to us.
Yeah, reach out anytime. Not saying that we will read it or get to it immediately, but we will bank it and usually do a mailbag episode once we get a handful of them and go from there. So
I think a couple of these were sent 10 days ago.
Yeah,
so we're getting to them. Yeah.
Okay. The first one that we want to address from Ty McCann, he says, "Hey, gents, I noticed there are a lot of former Rays who are on the free agent market. I thought it would be fun to ask if you had to pick two players, who would you like to see reunited with the Rays? Who would you pick and why?" I stole this list from MLB.com, but for the sake of eliminating recency bias, I left off guys that were on the Rays 2021 team. Would love to hear what you guys think. And what I'm going to do, Ulysses, is just run through these names real quickly.
Okay.
And we'll pick the two that we would like to see have a little reunion with the Rays. So there is Matt Andres, Brad Boxberger, Asdrubal Cabrera, Robinson Chirinos, Steve Cishek. Can't even remember him being on the Rays, to be honest. But
2017, I think he was one of the trade deadline acquisitions.
Yeah, I wasn't paying to the Rays much attention.
A lot of people weren't.
Yeah. Alex Cobb, Wade Davis, Corey Dickerson, Avi Garcia, Daniel Hudson, our buddy Matt Joyce, Scott Kazmir, Jose Lobaton, Aaron Loop, Ulysses' favorite player of all time, Jose Martinez, Brad Miller, Matt Moore, Tommy Pham, Austin Pruitt, Erasmo Ramirez, Wilson Ramos, Sergio Romo, Drew Smiley, Eric Sogard, Stephen Vogt, Hunter Wood, and Kirby Yates.
My goodness, that's a can you remember all of these guys and their last year with the Rays?
I think it just underscores how much roster shuffling the Rays do year in and year out.
And a lot of these guys have been, you don't remember them, but it's like, oh, that was 3 years ago. I'm all, for the sake of time for the pod, I'm only going to choose one of these guys.
Okay.
You can choose two if you want, if you'd like, Kevin.
Yeah.
But my guy, you know it, you love him, I love him. Alex the Bulldog.
I knew it.
I mean, have we actually talked about how good he was in 2021? He had a 3.7 ERA, a FIP of 292. He only provided 93 innings for the Angels, but he struck out 98 in those 93. So you saw the strikeout rate go up. But one of the biggest things I think that would be just so great to have Alex Cobb back, besides the veteran presence in that young starting rotation, is the fact that he is a ground ball machine, Kevin. 53% ground ball rate. That was with the Angels' Little League defense behind him.
Yeah.
Okay. Imagine how efficient that ground ball rate can be when you put him up with guys that actually can pick it, with Gold Glove nominees behind him. I feel like that would be a really good get for the Rays. And second of all, he's made his. He was getting paid 14 mil, 15 mil in the last. I think he just wants to win now.
Right.
And if you can get him back home in order to win, in order to be that, veteran workhorse that he once was, to teach Drew Rasmussen, Patino, the Shanes, I would love that.
He's from Vero Beach, So he could make a little bit of a comeback there. And he was actually one of my 2 players that I also picked and went with. So I'm glad you chose Alex Cobb. I do agree that I think he still has something left in the tank. And what have we been talking about? One of the team needs a veteran 4th, 5th starter type. Not saying that you want to roll Alex Cobb out for 140, 150 innings, but if he could give you what he did this past season and maybe a little bit more, that's really all you need to ask for. And it's been a while since he's been on a winning ball club. I think the last playoff team he was on was the 2013 Rays.
Yeah.
In the last 5 years or so, he was with Baltimore and then LA. And he was on the crummy Rays teams, you know, before he got traded.
No, I think we've talked about this endlessly. Older guys want that ring if they've made their money. If they made their money, cool. Now get me that ring. If the Rays can be competitive in the salary range of what he's looking for, which I'm sure he's going to want a multi-year, maybe a 2-year deal.
Right.
I don't know if the Rays will be able to pull that off, but I mean, how poor do the Rays have to be every year?
Yeah.
If there's a guy that I think you can put some, green Skittles on, I would be okay with putting the money on Alex Cobb.
The other guy that I would go for, and I would like to see back on the Rays at some point, is Avi Garcia.
That's a great pick.
The Rays do, assuming that Nelson Cruz isn't coming back to the team, you need a right-handed power bat. That might be a role for Avi Garcia, who just came off a career year with the Brewers, and he changed some things in his approach that really allowed him to tap into his power, swinging at more first pitch fastballs. He was able to make that change and improve and go from there.
Was he a 30 homer guy or was he 29?
29 homers in an 820 OPS and 135 games. Now, that is the knock on Avi, is that every year he's going to hit the IL a couple of times. But I would imagine that if you have that roving DH spot, you can give him some rest off his legs. I'm in a way infatuated with Avi Garcia because I think he has so much physical ability and physical talent with the combination of strength and power and speed. At 6'4", 250 pounds, he's one of the faster guys and more athletic guys that you'll see. But
he looks like a wide receiver.
He looks like a tight end more than a wide receiver, I would say. Yeah.
He just looks like that football type guy that can just give you so much speed. I'm intrigued about that one. The problem with Avi, which also could be the trouble with Cobb and a lot of free agents, the money aspect. If he declined the player option, I believe it was a $12 million with the Brewers.
And smart for him, knowing that, hey, I can probably get much more on the open market. After
how much more? 15 for a year?
I don't know. I would imagine more for sure. And again, this question from Ty wasn't who are the Rays most likely to sign. Who would we like to see back on the Rays? That was a former Rays. So that's why I'm going with Avi Garcia there. And I just think, and he had some really fun moments with the Rays. I mean, he was one of maybe 2 or 3 guys that hit a home run off the banner, off the AL East title banner, a 460-foot shot. The only other guy that I've known to do that is Marcell Ozuna.
Yeah.
There might have been another guy or two, but if you look at some of his percentile rankings, 98th percentile in max exit velocity. Like, you would basically, I think, as Nelson Cruz is maybe on the downslope of his career, maybe Avi has tapped into something as he's hit his age 30 season. So I've always liked Avi. I always felt there was more potential tapped in. I always thought he was more than what his season numbers would put up. Like, you would, on average, probably what would you expect? Like 17 to 21, 22 homers and only playing 130 games on average and 260, 270 batting average. I always thought there was more in the tank for him, and maybe some of the changes he's made with swinging at more first pitches, and maybe we know he's a free swinger at times, so maybe
and the glove
cobbling
helps.
That as well. Yeah, he's got some versatility in the corner outfield spots.
He could even do center field if you need him, if need be. You know, I like this. Those 2 names. There you go, Ty. Cobb and Garcia.
Yeah. Okay, this next question or comment here from Walter Rosado. He says, I think a player that the Rays can try to obtain is Michael Lorenzen. He had an injured year last season, but I believe he would be a buy low candidate for the Rays. Typical Rays bargain shopping. He wants to be a starter, so they can offer him a shot at the rotation. If it doesn't work out, he can be a great bullpen arm. Not to mention, he can always slot in the outfield if need be. Also, Kevin, I disagree with your statement about Colin Mchugh, especially if he is looking for another World Series ring. If another team offers more money to Mchugh that happens to be a playoff contender, I see Mchugh leaving sort of like Morton of last year. I think if a team is offering more than the Rays, I believe that team is going to be in contention. I don't see the Rockies or some other low-level team paying that kind of money for a veteran.
Well, the first point, Lorenzen, that's an intriguing one.
Yeah.
It just honestly makes me kind of cry about Jake Cornerworth. To have a guy that can do both.
Yeah.
And I don't think
Although I don't know if Cornerworth has been used as a two-way guy yet. It was the minor leagues that he was deployed as that.
I know he had a bad year, Lorenzen, this year. So that could be a good pick-me-up option. I don't know. I feel like you still have a little bit more value out there before you hit on the Lorenzen free agent basket.
I will say this, though. I did look at Lorenzen a little bit in preparing for this question. He was at one point a Rays draft pick. He did opt for college. So the Rays probably do have some interest and insight on him at the very least. And if you look at some of his underlying numbers, like the FIP, that has shown better than the ERA. So maybe that is something that the Rays have been looking at. And also, if you look at his pitch mix, I think it's a little bit of jack of all trades, master of none. He's got according to Savant, I think 5 or 6 different offerings. And I would try him out as a reliever and pare that down and say, hey, scrap the cutter like the Rays did with Waka and throw your fastball more. His fastball averages, 97 miles per hour, and it's got elite level spin. So I would change that completely. I think the cutter is the pitch that he throws the most, and it's the pitch that gets hit the most and gets hit hardest the most, or has the highest average against. So I think there's some little things that they could say, okay, we're going to change this around with you to make you a more effective and impressive pitcher, just sort of like they did with Colin Mchugh. They switched him around too with, hey, throw your slider more, throw your slider as much as you want, money pitch, because you can throw it to both sides of the plate and you can throw it for strikes in any count, and you induce weak contact with that. And
now with Lorenzen, though, I'm seeing that he actually has kind of not been starting as many games as he did in his rookie season. So with Walter's question, he's saying that he wants to be in the part of the rotation. Do you see that, or do you see them saying, no, you know what, just keep it?
No, I think it would be more of a multi-inning relief role. I don't think he would be signed to be a starter.
Maybe a Colin Mchugh sub.
Yeah. And speaking of which, I will say this about Colin Mchugh. I think the only other team that would, well, let me put it like this. Walter says that Mchugh would leave for a contender for more money, but the Rays are a contender. No, this team did win 100 games, did have the best record in the AL East,
right? But
in the American League.
Maybe Walter means like if the Dodgers come calling.
Oh, okay, I see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Walter, send us another email and tell us if we got this right.
I mean, the only other team that I could see where he would really want to go probably maybe is the Atlanta Braves. I think he really likes how the Rays helped him out and gave him a shot. And by the way, we talk about some of the Rays making some bad signings of late with Setsugo and Chris Archer, but Mchugh was one of the best signings maybe in baseball this past offseason. You get him for $1.8 million, and the
Rich Hill too
he puts up. Yeah, and I think that Mchugh likes working with Kyle Snyder, and I think he likes the role that he was put in with the Rays of, let me do 2-3 innings of high leverage work, give me a couple of days off, and they gave him some really good advice on how to best be successful. And I think that counts and means something. Well, I really do. And I feel like, again, we have to take into account, McHugh interviewed with Fangraphs not too long ago, and he's introspective and so well-spoken. if the Dodgers or a team like that offers 2 years, $16 million, and the Rays offered, say, 2 years, $10 or $11 million, I mean, again, by the time you go to the West Coast and have to deal with the taxes and deal with all the changes, is it really worth it at the end of the day? And to move your family across the country, I don't know if that makes a whole lot of sense. That's why I would say if the Braves came with a better offer, then he might go with the Braves. But I'm not sure if there's another team out there that he would spurn for the Rays if the Rays make a half-hearted offer to bring him back.
I like where your head's at. I also like when I eat Built Bars. I'm telling you, I mean, they are low calorie, they are low in carbs, low in fat, they're high protein. And Kevin, with Thanksgiving around the corner, this is the time to pile on the good type of calories, not the apple pie, not the peach cobbler. You got to get your blueberry muffin type of Built Bar, the German chocolate one. So you guys got to know what you got to do. This is built.com. You choose all of your flavors. You get your boxes and orders. And right before you hit buy, you say, wait, there's a promo code. And I know what it is. It is LOCKED15, LOCKED15. And you will get 15% off your order. So go today to built.com. Use promo code LOCKED15 and get yourself some Built Bars today.
Okay, great live read there, Ulises. So I'm going to put you on the hot seat before we move along with these questions. Is Colin Mchugh a Ray in 2022? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, there's the answer. All right, I think he is. I think he's going to.
I hope. No. Okay, if I can qualify it as no, but I hope so.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
All right. This comment from Brian Stark. He says, "This may be a hot take, but I don't expect Manny Margot on the team next year. I know KK is everyone's favorite choice to trade, but while Margot is a great outfielder and important piece, he will be making $5 to $6 million this year. And between he and Brett Phillips, Phillips has the better glove and bat, plus will only be making about $1.5 million. The Rays have some good talent that they can play in the outfield coming up. Josh Lowe, Vidal Brujan. I know KK is most likely gone too, but by clearing those two guys out, that's nearly $18 million cleared up, which would then be used to pay for the ARB players, Meadows, Glasnow, Phillips, Diaz, as well as picking up Zunino's option."
Well, I think overall, maybe KK still has the edge on Phillips as an overall good player.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like KK is just a step above Phillips. The financials obviously then push you towards saying Phillips is better for this roster construction. The issue is Phillips has no success against lefties. Like zero. Like it's less than, it's like negative if you could have a batting average. It's not good. So when you pair him up with Margot, who can handle lefties, then I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
I understand, the $18 million to get off is rather enticing, but I don't know if, Josh Lowe being a lefty, are you going to pair up Josh Lowe and Brett Phillips?
Yeah.
I again, lefty against lefty all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that. I
got to disagree with Brian. I don't think that Brett Phillips necessarily has the better glove than Manny Margot, and I don't necessarily think he has the better bat than Manny Margot either. And I think the Rays probably think so as well, considering that Manny Margot got how many plate appearances compared to Brett Phillips this past year? And Brett Phillips being a lefty, you would think he would get a ton more opportunities with so many right-handed pitchers out there. Manny Margot had 464 plate appearances compared to Phillips' 292. Now, I know Brett Phillips will play more center field, but I think you could certainly slot Manny Margot into that role as well. He's certainly handled that. I know he's had some odd mistakes and some odd drops at the Trop at times, but I think on the whole, on the aggregate, he's a really, really, really good outfielder, and some of the metrics back that up. And the thing that really concerns me about Brett Phillips, so if you're essentially getting rid of both KK and Manny
Margot.
Margot. That means you're going to have to give Brett Phillips more playing time, which exposes that strikeout rate, that ballooned 38, 39% strikeout rate even more. And I know that Brett Phillips is a fan favorite. I know he's beloved. I know he might be, some consider him to be the franchise player. And it was great that he had the grand slams, but he's also had some of his moments besides the World Series. And also, let's mention this. He was left off the postseason roster.
That's exactly.
So he's clearly not quite as valued as Manny Margot. And I mentioned the strikeout rate. Strikeouts have long been a problem.
Yeah.
The last couple of years with the Rays. And while Manny Margot maybe doesn't provide as much offensively in terms of extra base hits that you would want, I love that 15% strikeout rate.
Yeah.
For that many at-bats. And
it's a change of pace in the lineup, Kevin.
Yeah.
Not everybody has to strike out at 30%. So when you have a guy like Manny Margot and keeps the line moving, you appreciate that. I don't see getting rid of both KK and Margot in the same year. I don't.
Yeah.
I see KK leaving, and then you do a platoon, Margot against lefties, Phillips against righties.
Yeah.
And then that aggregate, I think, could give you even possibly a better outcome than putting KK.
Yeah.
I think that, but you do not want to see Phillips against lefties. You just don't want to.
And look, I know if the amount of home runs he had and the amount of at-bats, that is impressive, but we also have to kind of, and he had 3 grand slams last year, but we also have to look at the situations. When were those plays or hits or big moments made? One of the grand slams was in a 20-3 ball game against the Red Sox. Another grand slam was in a 6-0 ball game against the Yankees. And then the third, I will give him credit, it was a go-ahead one against the Orioles.
Though.
Fair enough. Yeah. He has found some sort of power stroke, but I just don't know if, would you rather pay $1.5-2 million for a part-time player or $5 million for a full-time player? It's kind of
I if I have to pick the best case scenario, I would just platoon center field. Platoon center field, and in that way, when Josh Lowe is ready to come in, which he's not going to, maybe he might be ready for opening day, but I don't think the Rays will put him up in the opening day. So by platooning, you give time for Josh Lowe to get hot in AAA, and boom, move him in May.
And I know we want to get so obsessed about, hey, we got to give this rookie an opportunity. We got to call up Vidal Brujan and Josh Lowe. And I do think that at some point you are going to have to give them opportunities, but to just get rid of 2 veterans in one offseason like that, and then you're going to be forced to play the couple rookies out there. I think that's kind of going to be a difficult ask. We know the team is so contingent on really good defensive play, and I think there could be a big adjustment period without having a KK or a Manny Margot in the fold, another elite defender that can help those guys along.
Let's not forget, not even KK started his major league career in center field. He was in right field. For all you Rays fans, Josh Loach is going to take center field. Well, not even KK, not even the outlaw, not even a 3-time Gold Glover, Platinum Award winner went to center field first. So all that idea that Josh Lowe or Vidal Brujan is just going to come in there and take the center field job, you're wrong. I'm sorry.
Not necessarily. Okay, this next comment from Ethan Broom. It's been a while since we've heard from Ethan Broom. Hope he's doing well. He says, haven't annoyed you guys in a while, so I thought I would now. Some offseason moves I think would help this Rays team. Trade KK, let Choi walk, sign a veteran pitcher like they did with Morton, Verlander, Greinke, someone like that to a 1 to 3 year deal. Go get Luke Voit. Re-sign Mike Zunino. That was already done. And then he has an idea for the starting lineup. Randy, Brandon Lau, Wander Franco, Luke Voit, if a trade matriculates, Austin Meadows, Yandy Diaz, Manny Margot, Josh Lowe in right field, and catching tandem of Mike Zunino and Francisco Mejia.
Well, part of what he said has been answered by us in this episode.
Right.
We are Alex Cobb fans. You want a veteran pitcher who, if you have the 2-year capacity for a $20 million deal, sign him up.
And also maybe you can teach some of the younger cats the split change that he is so Glass now, get him on the same page with that.
We were talking about that in the player review, Kevin. I mean, the 4th pitch If you can get that changeup for Glass now, oh my goodness.
Yes.
That would be
It'd
nasty.
be over with. It'd be over with.
It'd be done. It'd be give him the Cy Young for the next 3 years. So yeah, Ethan, that's the.
I don't
the
think Lander or Greinke. I don't think they're going to do that.
I don't want to harp on this because I think I do this every episode. Guys, no, it's not happening. It's not happening. Any Hall of Fame pitcher like Verlander and Greinke are not pitching for the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah.
At all. Like,
right.
No.
What do you think about the Luke Voigt conversation or point he brought up? He always
gets hurt.
Yeah, so that's the issue. Is it's one thing after another with this guy. It's a sports hernia. It's a foot. It's a knee, and he missed. Basically more than half the season this year with that knee issue.
It's the jersey that can't close itself.
Yeah,
it's it's a lot of issues there. It's the BMW ads.
He's also complained about playing time.
Oh gosh, he's not gonna like it.
Yeah, so I don't think he does not seem like a Tampa Bay guy to me. I don't think he would fit in.
You know who he is exactly reminding me of? Say it in the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Hunter Renfroe.
Oh yeah, yeah, I could see that.
Does he not give you Renfroe vibes right now?
A little bit.
100%.
And first off, a lot of intra-divisional trades
I don't like him.
Don't happen very much. He's already going to be slated to make $5+ million. Then you add in the prospect haul that you got to give up.
Yeah.
And if we're looking at it, look, he had that great 2020 season. That was insane. But I just don't think I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze. In fact, if we want to look at it objectively, the Rays, instead of going through all that and trying to trade with the Yankees and give up prospects and pay an oft-injured guy, you might as well just keep Luplow. Luplow actually had a better year than Luke Voigt did if
there you go.
We look at all the numbers at the end of the day. While it would be a fun name and we got Luke Voigt and you could have some fun marketing, I just don't think he'd be that great of a fit. And not to say that every player that the Rays add has to be able to play 2, 3, 4 positions, but it is nice to have that versatility. Like at least with Avi Garcia, he could play corner outfield spots and you could probably give him a first baseman as well. I just don't, I'm not on board with the Luke Voigt thing as of right now. Like if the Yankees are so gung-ho to get rid of him, why do the Rays want to bring him in?
Yeah.
Quite frankly. I don't get that at all.
So I don't like it.
But Ethan, I liked your other comments there, and it might be a GM in the making. Give it up. Hey, this is what the Rays need to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Boom. He got even a lineup going on.
Yeah, how about
that?
Like that? I do like Wander Franco batting after. Well, I'd actually like to see Wander Franco as high up in the lineup as possible to give him as many at bats as possible. But I think Franco providing Brandon Lau some protection might be better off than the other side of the equation.
That's true.
If Lau was able to take advantage of that. Okay. BetOnline is back and better than ever before. A new web interface for the start of the basketball season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the basketball and football action this season. So be sure to head over to their new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use the promo code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, to receive that bonus. BetOnline, it is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. It is where the game starts. Okay, we want to thank Ty and Walter and Brian and Ethan for reaching out to us. And again, other Locked On Rays listeners, you are more than encouraged to reach out to us as well.
You know what I love about the mailbags is that we go all over the place.
Yeah.
It's fun because everybody has their own concerns. Everybody has their own questions and ideas of what you can do in 2022 for the season. So it's nice. Send them in. It's like playing Pepper. Where you going? Where you going with it? Oh, okay. Got to go shift right. Got to go shift left. I like it.
I like it. Yeah. I like the analogy there.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not going to waste any more time. I am putting Ulises on the hot seat for baseball trivia, and I love this question that I have come up with. Okay. I don't mean to pat myself on the back, and I think you're going to get it, but you never know with some of these questions.
God. Okay.
Of course, Ulises, we had the Gold Glove Awards ceremony and voting, and the finalist, all that was revealed and announced. And I figured, who have won the most Gold Gloves? Who are some guys who have just racked up Gold Glove after Gold Glove in their career? So in front of me, I have a list of 15 players. There have been 15 players in MLB history who have won 10 or more, at least 10 Gold Gloves in their career.
Okay.
I don't need you to name all 15. We'd be here all night, all evening, all afternoon. But I do want a third of those names. I want 5 names from you. 5 guys, 5 players who have won at least 10 Gold Gloves in their baseball career.
I'm gonna go with Ichiro Suzuki.
Ichiro Suzuki is correct. He had 10 exactly.
I'm gonna go with Andrew Jones.
Andrew Jones is correct. He had 10 exactly.
I'm gonna go with Omar Vizquel.
Omar Vizquel is correct. He had 11.
I'm gonna go with Ozzie Smith.
Ozzie Smith is correct. He had 13.
I'm gonna go with Jim Edmonds.
Jim Edmonds is incorrect. Strike 1. I think he won 8 or 9. I mean, he clearly didn't win 10, but
I'm gonna go with Yadier Molina.
Yadier Molina is incorrect. He had 9. If he won one this year instead of, what was it, Jacob Stallings with the Pirates, he would have had his 10th. So you are on a roll here. I need one more, and you're down to your final strike.
I have 4.
You have 4, and I need one more. You've guessed Ichiro Suzuki, Andrew Jones, Omar Vizquel, and Ozzie Smith.
You know what it is? I have 2 options, and I want to go with the riskier one just because I kind of want to.
Quit stalling and Googling over there. I see what you're doing. Hands up, sir.
I'm going to go with the riskier option because that's how you got to live life, man.
All right.
Greg Maddux.
Greg Maddux is correct.
Let's go!
And not only is Greg Maddux correct, but he has the most Gold Gloves in history with 18.
Oh, there we go.
So very good guess there. The others, Jim Catt with 16. Brooks Robinson with 16. Pudge Rodriguez, 13. Ozzie Smith, you got. Roberto Clemente with 12. Vizquel, you got. Keith Hernandez had 11. Willie Mays had 11. Suzuki, Andrew Jones. Ken Griffey Jr. had 10. Nice. Roberto Alomar had 10. Mike Schmidt had 10. And Mr. Red himself, Johnny Bench, had 10.
I was going to go with Mike Schmidt or Greg Maddux. So I was like, okay, let's just
you
go
would
for
have been
number 1.
right on either accord, but I'm glad you went with Greg Maddux because people don't think about the pitchers very much or think about the fact that he had 18 Gold Gloves.
That's amazing.
Yes.
I didn't know he had that many, though.
Yeah. So there we go.
Very cool.
I thought you'd like that trivia question.
I
Hopefully
did.
the listeners liked it as well. And again, the idea is to play along with us while you're listening in your car or working out or on your walk, whatever you're doing.
You can pause it and all that. Okay, well, I have a name that war.
Okay.
For you, Kevin. This guy, you know him. You loved him. You hated him for 1 season. His nickname, Big Game. Mr. James Shields himself. What is James Shields' baseball reference war?
Baseball reference war for James Shields. I know he was a workhorse. I know there were many years where he threw 200 innings or close to 200 innings. And I think that has to count for something. He's had some good years. He's had some bad years.
Yes.
How long did he play? I would venture to say at least 10 years. Career war for James Shields. I'm going to go 25.
Is that your final answer?
That is my final answer.
Not too shabby.
Okay.
You're not giving him enough love, though. Mr. James Shields had a 31.1
okay.
BRF war. The one-time All-Star, He had 145 wins, 139 losses, a 4.01 career ERA. He pitched 2,616 innings and had 2,234 strikeouts. Just an unbelievable year. And of course, his lone all-star year was just impressive. I mean, he was a in the Cy Young Award. He even got MVP votes that year in 2011. This is ridiculous. You know how many complete games he had?
Complete game, James. I would say like 20.
That season.
Oh, in
2011.
Like 12?
11. Yeah,
11.
Unreal. And 4 of them were shutouts.
Wow.
I mean, just incredible that 2011 season. So awesome. That was a good one.
Yeah, and what's funny about James Shields is, first off, those numbers that he put up, guys that are pitching nowadays, I don't know how many of them will be. He's like one of the last of that era, essentially, one of the last of that era. But what's crazy is he had such a good career, and such a career that, I mean, again, 95, 97% of pitchers would love to have the career he had. But a lot of people, I don't want to say a lot of people, but there is some thought out there of like what he's known for is the fact that he was involved in the Fernando Tatis trade. Like that's what always comes up. Like, oh, they traded James Shields on his last leg for Tatis Jr.
It sucks, and that's going to happen because he is way more than that.
Yeah.
But just to finish this episode, James Shields, the school of James Shields. That's how we were called. The starting rotation, the school of James Shields. It all started with him. To get Alex Cobb, who was taught by James Shields himself on how to be that bulldog on the mound, would love to bring that back in 2022 with Alex Cobb. Give that James Shields, teaching to the Shanes, the Drews, and the Luis Patinos. That would be great.
It would be. In fact, I'm looking at. Yes, that is correct. James Shields went to the same high school as Tyler Glasnow.
Oh, love that.
Yeah.
Put a bow on this episode.
There we go.
And wrap her up.
How about that? All right. Thank you for making the Locked On Rays podcast your first listen every day. Now make your second listen the Locked On Bets podcast. Hope you all have a wonderful day and weekend, and we will talk to you next week.